y'all, welcome to Vlogmas Day 5. As you can see, I have some salmon here, got that from BJ's, and we are going to make some salmon as well as some oxtail and some white rice for dinner. And being that I was making this and I've always wanted to record, why not go ahead and add it to the list of my Vlogmas videos. So that's some beef oxtail, we have some vinegar, some white onions, some scotch bonnet pepper, as well as some thyme right there. Going ahead and showing you I'm using some white rice, which is really basmati rice, and then I'm going ahead and using my awesome pot that my mom gifted me with for my birthday this year. So the ingredients we're using is oxtail, paprika, Cajun seasoning, as well as chili powder, as well as browning from Grace, which is a Jamaican product, as well as garlic pepper and minced garlic. The ingredients I'm using is definitely what I cook with. It is up to you. It depends on how your spices and all that good stuff of what you like. So of course you have to go ahead and wash your meat. I'm using more cold water, probably lukewarm. And I'm just going ahead and showing you the fat. We are going to wash it with vinegar, but I like to actually cut the fat off first and then end it with the vinegar. So that white, excuse me, I just like burped. So that yellowish meat that you see me cutting off there, that is the fat. It's kind of hard sometimes to cut it, and that's just me, because I try not to cut the actual meat to lose, you know, the meat. But I try to cut as much as I can without actually wasting what's there. So I'm just going ahead and showing you an example of the fat. So you just want to go ahead and kind of cut that off. Obviously, it's not healthy. There go a big chunk right there. Huge. Yeah, so go ahead and cut that off. Once everything is cut off, then you go ahead and just rinse it again with some water, and you'll see that I'll add some vinegar. So I usually go through all of the meats there. Let me tell you something. Oxtail is very, very expensive. I actually bought 8 pounds. And it was $70. I purchased 8 pounds because one time I bought 5 pounds and it barely made it to the next day, because I like to cook dinner at least that could last for 2 days. So I got 8. This was not all the 8 actually. Basically it's probably half, so it's probably about 4, because I still have a good amount left that I put back in the freezer. So yeah, probably a little over 4. But I'm still going ahead and cutting the fat off, showing you what the fat looks like. Yuck. And of course you always have to clean up after yourself, y'all. It's easier to just cook and clean for me, but you know, it's my house, so you do what you do in your house. Went ahead and added the vinegar, went ahead and added some cold water, and just going ahead and squishing the meat and trying to just get all of the, and the crazy thing is, as you add the vinegar, some fat that you may have missed is gonna come off. So you're gonna see me have to get the scissors, the meat scissors, and basically cut some more fat off that I missed. But the vinegar definitely helps with that, which I like. So see, look at that big piece. So that's why I like to end with washing my meat with the vinegar. So yeah, I'm going ahead and doing that. Alright, so now I'm just going to go ahead and wash the utensils, because we're going to go and chop up the ingredients that I need to season the oxtail. So in the next preview, yep, so I'm going ahead and cutting that white onion up. Sometimes I leave it the way it is right now, but then in this video I went ahead and diced them a little smaller. Then I'm going to cut the scotch bonnet, and then I'm going to cut the thyme. I do rinse the thyme out in some water, as you'll see. Be careful with that scotch bonnet, y'all. It is not mandatory. It's definitely your decision on that. You know I am a spice girl, so I like my spices. So I'm just going ahead and cutting that thyme. And then we're going to go ahead and season the oxtail with all the ingredients that I showed you earlier. I just go by eyesight. I do not measure. So if you've seen some of my cooking videos, you should already know. So I try to do the camera really close so you can kind of see and get an idea. I'm so bad with measurements, but what I do is I do go easy the first time around, and then I will basically kind of do like a finger taste and see if I'm missing anything, and then go back in with whatever I need. So that's what you see me doing. Alright, so now that all the seasonings are there, I'm going to go ahead and get some gloves. I actually wash my gloves off with some very hot water. As you can see the steam coming from over there. Just to kind of, I always feel like there's powder on it that can probably go off in your food. So I don't know, it's just a habit. So I'm going ahead and mixing all the ingredients in the meat, and then I'm going to go ahead and add the onions and thyme and scotch bonnets to that and mix that in as well. As I'm mixing it in, I'm just kind of squeezing it to kind of squeeze it to the meat. Then I'm going to go ahead and end with a knife that's kind of like stab the meat up. I don't know why I do it. I see my mom do it, so whatever. I was just showing you my glove broke. My nail is all up in there. Then there go my finger taste, and then you'll see me go in with a little bit more of the seasonings. Yeah, so I basically go by the taste, but I start off light and then, you know, figure out what's missing and go from there. Alright, so there I go, stabbing up the meat. Cover it, and I'm just going to have it sit for 1 hour, and then we're going to move on to the salmon. Also, I went ahead and took the salmon out. I'm going to go ahead and rinse it with the real lemon. I usually use lemon juice if I'm out of lemon, but I picked up a big bag, so I was able to just squeeze the juices in there. Then I'm going to add some cold water, which is very important for fish. Do not do hot or warm water because you will cook it with the water. So be careful with that. But I'm just picking out the seeds because obviously it's the real lemon. Add some cold water, rinse that off, and then I will start the seasoning. Alright, so I'm done washing that off. I pat dry with the napkin. Have garlic, fish seasoning, fish and meat sauce, which is from Grace, which is also a Jamaican brand, just like the browning that I use for the oxtail. This is Kirkland, organic no salt and cayenne pepper, as well as paprika, of course, and I think chili powder. So once again, go ahead and use gloves. If this is your first time on my channel, I do not like seasonings touching my hands. I hate it. As well as I have tips on, so I kind of hate that it's like always getting stuck in my fingernails, which is gross. So I'm just going to go ahead and start off with the minced garlic and just basically all the seasonings. If I do it to one side, I'm doing it to the other. Just rubbing it in. I'm just going to go ahead and add all the seasonings. As you can see, here's a close-up, which is a better look for you. Just go ahead and rub that sucker down. Rub it. One thing I learned with fish, and I definitely learned it from my older sister, is that you kind of can't go wrong with seasoning because fish take salt very well. I've never had a fish that's too salty, other than obviously codfish that comes with salt. But when seasoning fish, I have never over seasoned it, if that makes sense. But don't listen to me now. I'm not no chef, okay? But I'm just going off of my own experience. So I do like some type of spice on my fish, so that's why, you know, I do all that. I add all the dry seasonings, and then I end it with that fish and meat seasoning, which is so good to me. This was actually the first bottle I purchased, but I'm definitely going to keep purchasing. You guys might want to try it yourself. It kind of just, you know, holds everything down and together. Alright, so now that everything is seasoned, I'm just going to go ahead and get a saran wrap and close that up. Let that sit down for just a little bit while I go set the oven. The what? The oven to 375. I put everything to 375, sometimes 350. I don't know. And I think I'm going to set the timer for about 25 minutes. I did have it stay in there for 25 minutes, so yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and add the fish to the pan that I'm going to put in the oven. Alright, but before I go ahead and add the salmon to the oven, I'm going ahead and slicing another lemon. I do like lemon on my fish, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a few slices on top, then cover it up and put it in the oven. Alright, so now back to the oxtail. They look so good. Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So I'm going to go ahead and get my cast iron pot ready. Put some oil in there. Make sure that pot gets hot. I actually forgot the fire was on because I was editing at the same time. So I went ahead and added the oxtail to that. And then the trick for me is I actually add hot water from the faucet if I don't have boiling water. But yeah, so I'm just going to mix in what's the leftover gravy or whatever that is to the pot. Oh, I didn't add that. Okay, whatever. Did I? Yeah, what am I? Okay, there you go. So the trick is you have to make sure that the meat is covered. Obviously, it can't be halfway because then the meat on the top will not get tender. So guys, oxtail takes a long time to cook on the stove. I don't know if it's easier to do it in the oven. I have cooked it in a crock pot, which was also better, but the meat was so tender that it was like literally all bones, and the meat was literally like shredded, which I didn't like. So I prefer to do it on the stove. So now I'm just going to start the rice, get that out of the way. Love my rice cooker. Ever since I got it, I definitely don't cook rice anymore on the stove, which is like on the lazy side, unless I'm making like Spanish rice. Honestly, I make Spanish rice in the crock pot, in the rice cooker as well. But go ahead and rinse off your rice. You guys know how it is. Just rinse everything off all the time. Can't be too sure. Did it a few times, and then I'm just going to go ahead and put it back in the pot and add some butter and a little bit of salt, I believe, which is Himalayan salt. Himalayan, whatever. All right, and the countdown is beginning for the salmon. Obviously, it's faster than it really is because I sped this video up. But let's see the salmon. Y'all, it was so good. Oh my God, look at that. I'm hungry right now just looking at this. So good, so good. My hitchhiker thumb right there. Good, 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 good. I think it's ready. Just gonna go ahead and take a fork and kind of just cut a little piece of it just to make sure. But salmon is so easy to cook, like for reals. So just giving you a close-up. So yummy. Oh my God, I think I'm hungry. Very good, very good. So now I'm just gonna keep an eye on the oxtail. So I lost count of how many times I look at the oxtail, but I like to just kind of go in and mix it up and just make sure the water level is at a good spot. And if not, I continue. I'm fighting with the camera actually, but I go ahead and just add some hot water and just keep. And I literally probably did it about 4 or 5 times. The oxtail literally cooked for about 2.5 hours, y'all, or maybe even 3. I think it was 3 hours total. So my rice is done. Look at Santa. Santa over there looking at me. Hey Santa. So the rice is done. It's not, I don't want to say it's moist because I don't like too much of wet rice, but it's perfect. Went ahead and turned that off, plug that out. And I'm just going to go back to my oxtail. So you see the water went down. So I'm going to go ahead and add some hot water again just to cover it. And as I said, I did this about 4 or 5 times with adding hot water and just making sure the meat itself is covered, because that will help the the tenderness of the meat. I did not cover it all the way because every time I do, the water will boil over and then run all on my stove. So I just left it crack a little bit. So I do not have butter beans, and I usually like my oxtail with that, but my boyfriend is allergic to beans and usually he'll have to pick it out, which, whatever, but it was good. But in this video I was not able to do that because I didn't have a can. So I went ahead and did second best and added some white potatoes. So I'm just going ahead and dicing that up just to kind of help to give it a little starch in case I didn't want any rice. Then I'll just have the oxtail with some potatoes. So this part is usually added when the oxtail is practically done, because you don't want it to still be hard and then add the potato and still have a good, then the potato is going to be mushy and completely dissolve in the gravy, which you don't want. So you want to add this when you know the chicken, okay, sorry, I'm sleepy. You want to do this when you know the oxtail is practically finished. So go ahead and put the potatoes, and that cooked for probably about 6-7 minutes. And then the next screen, it's going to be finished. But y'all, oxtail is the bomb. This is the way that my Jamaican mother teach me, and it's so yummy, it's so good. And if you have never tried oxtail, get your life. I know so many different ways to cook it. I see some people cooking it with coconut milk. I see people cooking it with all different types of beans, and as well, of course, I think they have like smoked oxtail too, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, y'all, this thing is good. So yeah, some people put ketchup in it, which I didn't, but this is the finished product. Look how the potato just broke, boo. And I'm just gonna give y'all the first bite. But thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe and click that notification bell.